$340 an hour. That is the average labor rate at a Ford, GM, or Ram dealership service center in 2024, according to data published by the National Automobile Dealers Association. Not the parts, just the labor. And for a growing number of repairs, you cannot go anywhere else. Not because independent shops lack the skill, because they lack the permission. That is the system. And some mechanics have figured out exactly how to route around it. The key to understanding what is happening starts with a module called the PCM, the Powertrain Control Module. It is the brain of your truck. It controls fuel delivery, transmission shift points, idle behavior, and emissions compliance. And starting around model year 2018, Ford began encrypting the PCM on the F150 and F250 with a VIN, specific security seed that requires a live connection to Ford's proprietary server to program or replace. An independent shop with a standard J2534 pass-through device, the industry standard tool used for emissions compliance programming, hits a wall. The tool works. Ford's server simply will not respond to it. The only door open is the dealer running Ford's licensed IDS diagnostic system at a subscription cost of around $2,000 a year. You do not pay that subscription. The independent shop in your town does not pay that subscription. The dealer does. That is not a coincidence. This is not about complexity. A replacement PCM for a 2019 F1 505.0 is not complicated to install. The hardware swap takes under an hour. What takes the rest of the day and costs the owner $600 to $1,200 in dealer labor is the VIN marriage procedure. Ford calls it security access. What it actually is a toll booth. They did not build a more sophisticated truck. They built a more sophisticated gate. General Motors went further. Starting with the 2019 model year on the Silverado and Sierra, GM introduced a system called Security Gateway Module, or SGM. Every communication between a diagnostic tool and the vehicle's CAN bus, the internal network that connects every module, now passes through the SGM first. Without a GM-authorized credential, the gateway blocks the connection entirely. Snap-on, Autel, and Bosch all make professional-grade scan tools used by independent shops across the country. As of 2022, none of them had full two-way command access through the GM Security Gateway without purchasing a separate SGM bypass credential through GM's own authorized portal, a process that costs shops between $800 and $1,200 per year and requires GM approval. GM reported that its dealer service and parts division generated over $17 billion in revenue in 2023. The security gateway is not a cybersecurity feature. It is a revenue architecture. Ram and Stellantis followed with the SGW, security gateway, on 2018, and later Ram, 1,500 and 2,500 trucks. Stellantis at least published a bypass procedure for emissions-related diagnostics, under pressure from the EPA's OBD compliance rules. But for anything beyond the mandated emissions access, transmission resets, module configuration, active component tests, independent shops still face a locked door unless they subscribe to Mopar's diagnostic platform. The pattern is identical across 3 manufacturers in the same 3-year window. That is not parallel innovation. That is an industry watching one another implement the same revenue model at the same time. They did not make your truck safer. They made your options fewer. Here's what the smart mechanics actually figured out. The first path is the J2534 bypass using open-source seed key algorithms. The encryption on GM and Ford PCMs uses a known seed key exchange protocol documented in the SAEJ 2534 standard. Security researchers and independent diagnostic developers have published working seed key calculators for the most common module families, the Ford EEC5 successor architecture and GM's E38 and E67 PCM variants. Shops that know where to look are running these calculators to generate valid security access codes without touching a dealer server. It is not illegal to use your own property. It is not illegal to reverse engineer a tool you paid for. And it is not illegal to access a module in a vehicle you own. The second path is the independent module programming networks. Companies like AutoAuth and AMS Automotive have built credentialing frameworks that provide shops with authorized SGM bypass access for GM vehicles. AutoAuth was actually developed in cooperation with an industry working group specifically to address the right-to-repair access problem on GM's security gateway. It costs significantly less than a full dealer subscription and gives an independent shop the ability to perform the same bi-directional commands that a dealer tech can. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation opposed its creation. The shops using it are doing work that dealers told you could not be done anywhere else. The third path is the pre-lockout inventory. Trucks built before the encryption walls went up are still available, still capable and still fully serviceable with standard professional equipment. A 2014 to 2017 F150 with the 5.0 Coyote or the 3.5 EcoBoost does not have a VIN-locked PCM. Any shop with a basic Autel MaxiSys or a Snap-on Verus can program a replacement module without contacting Ford. A 2014 to 2018 Silverado 1500 with the L83 5.3 does not route through a security gateway. An independent shop can perform a full module reset, transmission relearn, and injector balance rate correction on a Saturday afternoon without a subscription or an approved credential. These trucks exist in large numbers on the private market. Dealers do not advertise what year the lockout started. Now you know. The fourth path is community-sourced diagnostic knowledge. Forums like F15OGen14.com, GM-trucks.com, and the Diesel Place community have accumulated years of TSB cross-references, seed key threads, and module programming walkthroughs that rival anything in a dealer training manual. NHTSA's public complaint database, accessible at nhtsa.gov, contains documented failure patterns, TSB issuance records, and recall histories that a dealer's service writer is under no obligation to volunteer. A truck owner who walks into a shop knowing the TSB number for a 10R80 transmission shutter, that is TSB 19-2345, affecting 2017 through 2020 F150S, is a truck owner who cannot be overcharged for a diagnostic they already performed. The fifth path is state-level right-to-repair legislation. Massachusetts passed the first automotive right-to-repair law in 2012, and voters expanded it in 2020 to require that telematics data and remote diagnostic access be made available to independent shops and vehicle owners. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation filed suit to block enforcement and won a preliminary injunction. The legal fight is ongoing. Colorado, New York, and Minnesota have all seen right-to-repair bills introduced in 2023 and 2024. The Repair Association, formerly the Repair.org Coalition, publishes active legislation tracking by state. These bills name specific data access requirements. Following them, supporting them, and contacting the legislators sponsoring them is not abstract civic action. It is the difference between a $200 independent repair and an $800 dealer service appointment for the same job. The mechanics who are winning are not hackers. They are not cutting corners. They are using the diagnostic standards the industry itself wrote, accessing vehicles that were sold as property, and building knowledge networks the manufacturers spent considerable money trying to prevent. A truck is not a subscription, a powertrain module is not licensed software, and a repair you can perform on a machine you own is not a privilege that requires annual renewal. Next video, the 10-speed automatic transmission that Ford and General Motors co-developed, that generated over 11,000 combined NHTSA complaints in its first 4 model years, and why both manufacturers issued TSBs instead of recalls, and what that distinction cost you out of pocket. If you want to know what the dealer does not tell you before you hand over your keys, subscribe. This channel exists because that information is not supposed to leave the service bay. You bought the truck. The permission to fix it was never part of the deal. That ends when you know where the gate is.